CVM TV broke the news this afternoon after sources revealed that 24 babies have died at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital since June 1st, 2025. This heartbreaking revelation has triggered urgent questions about the cause of the crisis and what is being done to address it tonight. Now, tonight on Lead Story, we seek to uncover some of those answers, and as a result of that, Lead Story starts now. Welcome to Lead Story this evening. I am Sondre Roden, and this evening we're seeking clarity on what appears to be yet another tragic case involving infant deaths at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital. Reports indicate that 24 babies have died since June 1st, 2025. But before the discussion, we've prepared this report for you. Well, joining me to discuss this developing situation is Jamaica's Chief Medical Officer. I thought we had a report, but we're going to get right into it because of how important this conversation is. Of course, we have Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie, who will be speaking with us, and she's joining via phone. Good evening, Dr. Bisesa-McKenzie.
Hi, good evening, Sanjay.
Good having you on this evening. The first question, of course, our viewers or listeners have is, can you confirm the number of infant deaths reported since June 1? And what exactly has the hospital identified as the cause for these deaths?
Okay, well, good evening to your listeners. I don't like to be in a position to prolong a discussion that, is heartrending to some persons and for the whole population, really. I'm really saddened to hear of the number of deaths, and I want to extend my sympathies to the families. I hope they can get through this difficult period. But at the same time, we do want to reassure the public. The report does show that we have 24 deaths from the 1st of June going up until June the 24th. However, our investigations and the investigations of the region have shown that there are no outbreaks. Previously, we would have had, in years past, outbreaks of infections that would have resulted in death. This is not the situation. What we really have is that we have an increase in the number of sick babies that are coming into the nursery at Victoria Jubilee. For the month of June, we would have seen an increased bed occupancy compared to last year, June, where we had 26 persons admitted per day, each day, on the ward. That is not new admissions, but 26 persons on the ward. We are having an average of 36 on the wards at any one time. And this has gone up to 45 in some instances. So while there is not an increase in the number of births compared to last year, June, we're seeing that the number of babies that are sicker are coming into the nursery because, the nursery, when the babies are sick, they are admitted there. And of the numbers that are coming in, we are seeing an increasing number of critically ill babies. So when I look at the numbers, we would have probably been about 35% of the babies that are coming in are critically ill. We're seeing up of 50%, upwards of 50% during the first part of June that are coming in what we consider to be critically ill. And these babies are critically ill because of a number of factors. We saw that 55% of the babies were premature, with a good proportion of those being extreme prematurity, that is between 25 to 27 weeks. We would also see that 60% of the babies were low birth weight babies. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you clearly, Doc. Go ahead.
Okay. Right. 60% of the babies were low birth weight babies, with some of the babies being extremely low birth weight, being below 1,000 grams, which would be less than a half a pound. And we've seen babies coming in with with illnesses such as respiratory distress syndrome, the majority of the babies. We see some with presumed sepsis, some with meconium aspiration, and some, of course, with congenital abnormalities. These babies are very vulnerable, and it does take quite a bit of effort to support their very, very delicate physiological systems, and then to balance that with treatment for the specific illnesses. So while we do try, and the staff really do put out a Herculean effort to get these babies across this very critical period, sometimes, the vulnerability of the child, the illness that they have to cope with, some of them do not survive. And I must say that I think the team has been really working very hard, despite the challenges that they face, because we do have these shortages of staff from time to time. We don't have the kind of ratios that we would want in terms of the one-to-one for nursing for the critically ill babies, and that is a pressure that all of our hospitals feel. But they have done very well, and I think that the efforts that have been put in by the region in terms of improving, enhancing the infection prevention and control measures, it really is an extremely good outcome that we, in light of this increased numbers, that we're not seeing hospital-acquired infections and outbreaks. So I think that's a big task that the region and the hospital have
hold it there for me, Doc. I want to make that very clear. You're saying to us that there is no outbreak, no spike, particularly as it relates to infections across the Victoria Jubilee Hospital. That's correct, right?
Well, we're talking about the special care nursery and the high dependency unit.
Okay, the special care nursery, the high dependency unit. And we want to get into that conversation, Doc, about Jamaica, particularly Victoria Jubilee Hospital, being prepared or prepped or having the right equipment for premature births, having the right equipment for those special cases that you'd have been listing now at length.
Yes. This is a really important issue because we have been very proactive this year, in particular, because we have been sending out the messaging, having the meetings with the hospitals and with the regions, having increased amount of training to get persons prepared for this season, because June is when our numbers start to go up. June going straight back to October, November, we have our increased birth rates. But at this time of the year, we tend to see the more premature babies being born, and so we tend to have a peak in the number of deaths, and then later down in September, October, where we have the volume increases overall, then we also will see, an increase. So we have been doing extra work from the ministry side to ensure that the hospitals are prepared. There's increased sensitization and awareness. Hold
it for me, Doc. We're going to take a quick break, and then we come back on that point of increased hospital sensitization. You're with the Lead Story. We'll be right back with you.
Athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. Admission. Finish area season ticket, $8,000. Daily, $1,000 to $3,000. Regular grandstand season ticket, $6,500. Daily, $1,000 to $2,500. Tickets go on sale at MysticOnlineTix.com. Starting June 11, Pegasus Hotel and the Stadium Ticket Office. Starting Monday, June 23. The action will be sizzling.
At Hawkeye, we work hard to develop state-of-the-art security solutions like our new Total Connect smart home automation system that gives you 24/7 access to control your appliances, lights, cameras, and doors using your smartphone, tablet, or PC. As the most trusted electronic security company in Jamaica, Hawkeye has the fastest response times to get to you when you need us most. Trust Hawkeye's Total Connect. Hawkeye, securing what matters most.
We're having this conversation at this moment about the deaths that would have happened at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital as at June 1st, 2025, up until this point. The number stands at 24. And I'm speaking with none other than Jamaica's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie, I want to know on that point of hospital sensitization, at what point exactly did the hospital administration become aware of this, what we'd say, unusual spike in deaths? And upon becoming aware, what would have been the next steps?
I can't speak specific to the hospital administration. The discussions that I've had personally have been with the regional team to say what were their interventions. And the number of deaths would have started to increase between the first and the second week of June. And I think in the first 2 weeks there was where we had the largest numbers, and it has been consistently going down since then. The region in there, because as I've said, we've had heightened awareness on this matter, and so the regions have been doing routine inspections. So they would have recognized this on their inspections and review, and would have intervened in terms of preparing a plan for the hospital. They have been doing this. From December, we have been preparing for this. We have been sensitizing the regions, the hospitals, the units within the ministry to increase knowledge and awareness, and the preparing, ensuring that supplies are in place, equipment is checked, enhanced infection prevention control measures. So they would have been doing their routine checks, and they would have implemented measures at the beginning of June to ensure that with the increase in the crowding that they would anticipate from these increased numbers, they would have spaced out the babies, and they would have enhanced cleaning, etc., to make sure that there was decreased risk of infection. So previously, they would have been, because we would have spoken to them about ensuring that supplies are in place, equipment is checked, and they would have been attending to those issues. So
Dr. Bisesa McKenzie, you spoke a little bit about a report, and based on this, of course, questions are being asked, questions will be thrown at you, not just from me, but from others out there in the society that want to understand, one, the reason for this, two, what steps were taken by the hospital, three, is all good and dandy now that there is what we'd say administrative things being implemented. Now, those things are things people want to understand. So will the report that is done by the ministry, by the region, by the Victoria Jubilee Hospital, will that report be made public?
I cannot speak to the report from the region. Certainly, it is ongoing because we still have to dive deeper into each individual case to look at the issues that the mummies were facing, etc., to be able to have a comprehensive look at these cases. In terms of being good and dandy, as I said, that we are really at the start of this season, and what it really speaks about is more and more increased vigilance. The fact is that when we have the increased number of premature babies, low birth weight babies, it speaks to issues that go before labor and delivery. How it is that we prevent the babies from reaching into this vulnerable situation, that we have premature deliveries. And we have certainly ramped up our antenatal campaign to encourage mothers to visit the antenatal clinic, and not just one visit, but to keep doing their checks right throughout the 9 months of pregnancy so that we can detect issues. Certainly our first-time pregnancies, and especially in our very young, for this set of babies, what we found that 50% of the mummies were below 24, with 25% being below 20. So they need special attention to ensure that they're eating properly, that they're not anemic, all of these things to ensure a safe delivery and good outcomes for the delivery. So it's before, the actual delivery that we have to do interventions, and we have increased that in terms of our media campaign and really working to try to get all the mothers to come in for their visit so we can detect early and treat and manage not just the pregnancy but the delivery. So in terms of what we're doing within our nurseries or high dependency units, certainly you would know that under the ProMax unit we would have increased the number of spaces that are available in terms of the management of these very sick babies, because sometimes despite everything that you do, these babies come out and there are different things that happen that result in them being placed in this vulnerable situation.
Doc, to close out this aspect of our conversation, I want to understand, I think our viewers want to understand as well, what are the steps that are being taken to ensure that this does not reoccur? It's the start of the season, but the questions that a lot of people are posing publicly is that it's a hospital, which means that, it should be serving the people in a way where individuals are nursed back to health. So whatever number of deaths that exist are normally causes for concern. So what would you say to the people as it relates to next steps from the ministry level?
I don't think you're paying attention to what I was saying, because I'm saying that prevention, I think every Jamaican knows prevention is better than cure. And what we have to do is to prevent these babies from reaching into this critical stage. Okay, so that's where we have to start.
So,
and
Doc,
even for the
so from my understanding then, because I was listening keenly, and I understand you spoke about the campaigns and antenatal care, etc., and prevention being better than cure, but the question really is phased around how does one now trust that I can bring my baby to the Victoria Jubilee Hospital and be comfortable knowing that everything will be okay? Or is it a case that it's just sickness and there's no way around it?
No, I don't say that there's no way. I wouldn't say that there's no way around it. Certainly we have enhanced in terms of training of our healthcare workers to be able to manage these situations, these very, very critically ill persons, and we're put in place the resources for them to be able to manage. I can't say we can ever have enough, because when you have surges, then sometimes you overwhelm the capacity. So measures have been put in place. We have really increased capacity over the last couple of years to be able to manage critically ill babies. We can always do more, and more resources are always needed.
Yeah.
And the thrust on infection prevention and control has really been there to really prevent, because these babies, if they become infected in hospital, then their chances of survival decreases.
Yeah.
And so the measures to really enhance infection prevention and control are very, very, very important.
All right,
so
Doc,
these are things that we're doing in terms of the training of our staff, the preparing of our units to receive these babies, and really to improve on infection prevention and control.
I hear you, Doc, and I want to thank you for joining us. We note everything you have said, and of course, we are happy that you could have joined us and shared with our viewers and listeners what exactly is happening, what the ministry is doing about it, the ministry's advice, and this whole view of antenatal care, and that the administration is indeed into you. So we're going to go for a quick break. Thank you, Doc. Doc is the Chief Medical Officer of Jamaica, Dr. Jacqueline Besseson McKenzie. Going for a quick break, and when we're back, we'll be joined with the opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes.
Megamarts giving away a brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson. Second prize, a mega shopping spree. Third prize, 30,000 monthly shopping spree. Okay, break it down for them.
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Fill out the entry form on your receipt. Drop it in the box. That's it.
Authorized under Section 50(3).
Get ready for the largest beauty and wellness business event in Jamaica and the Caribbean. The Jamaica International Beauty Expo is on this year from Friday, June 27 to Sunday, June 29 at the National Arena in Kingston. Showcase your brand, connect with top industry players, explore the latest trends, and grow your business with expert workshops and networking opportunities. Don't miss this dazzling experience. Beauty, wellness, business, innovation. Visit beautyexpojam.com for more.
We're back. It's lead story. Earlier, we're talking to Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie, Chief Medical Officer for Jamaica. We're talking about 24 babies who would have died between June 1st and today, June 26th. Now, we spoke with her and she would have listed a number of things and should have gone into it, told us about the report, what would have happened, spoke a lot about premature premature babies coming in, antenatal care, etc. Now we have Dr. Alfred Dawes, who is also a medical doctor, but he happens to straddle another position that you may know him for as opposition spokesperson on health. Dr. Dawes, welcome to Lead Story this evening.
Hi, good evening, and good evening to all the viewers.
Yes, Dr. Dawes, the first thing we want to know is your reaction to the news that was broken today.
Well, I must first express my condolences to the families who are grieving the loss of these babies, the parents, the extended family members, and friends. It must be a very difficult time, and my heart goes out to you. This is a tragedy, but it is also a disgrace that we are having this discussion. The Ministry of Health has continued to tell Jamaicans that we are not in a crisis, that things have never been better than they are before. And anyone who speaks about the conditions that patients are facing, that staff are working under, the conditions that lead to situations like this where babies are needlessly dying, and I say needlessly because it is not a standard in Jamaica that we're used to. Whenever you have anyone speaking about these conditions, we are branded as alarmists and being hyperbolic and scoffed at. The truth is that the health sector is in shambles. And when you have 25 babies dying in 1 month, when it's not an outbreak, it shows that you have a serious deficit in treating for babies as they come into the unit. It means that you don't have adequate staff. It means that you don't have adequate resources. It means that your neonatal unit is functioning far worse than it ought to be, than by world standards. And that is why we have a death rate for neonates that is higher now than it was 20, 30 years ago. So things are by any metrics worse.
You're using some very strong language, Dr. Dawes, and in using...
And I have to, because it is frustrating to continue to raise awareness of what is going on and be continually dismissed. And then you're seeing what you warned about coming out to play. You cannot boast about how much money you're spending in health when it is sucked out by corruption and mismanagement and a misplacement of priorities. And we continue to see families grieving the loss of loved ones. And this is not an outlier. The reason why they can say it's not an outbreak is because it's a high rate that we have seen, where in December of last year, about 25 babies died. In September last year, it was about 20 babies that died. In the run-up to the 2020 elections, there was another dead baby scandal. And there were questions tabled for the Minister of Health at that time that he never answered to. So we have been dodging this issue for a long time. And the staff members who have been caring for these babies, they have been saying they are understaffed. they don't have the resources.
On that
They
point,
can't
Dr.
even
Dawes,
diagnose.
on that point of resources, as I said, you're using some strong language, and you based on that strong language, I want to understand from you, as the opposition spokesman on health, what would you suggest? What would you suggest that the government does as it relates to this aspect of healthcare? Because we'd have had the chief medical officer speaking about antenatal care, saying that, you know, a lot of the babies are coming in premature and already ill. But then, of course, Jamaicans are asking, but if I go to the hospital, I expect that, you know, I'll be taken care of and things will be okay, and at least the numbers would not be like this. What do you suggest, Dr. Dawes?
Healthcare is divided into primary care, secondary care, and tertiary care. Primary care is primarily prevention and treating diseases before they get really bad. That is where your antenatal care comes in. You will have issues arising that require secondary care, which is in-hospital care. So you must have proper secondary care available for those that primary care did not help, because you cannot stop 100% premature deliveries by good antenatal care. So therefore, you're